Revealed, Texas pastor's life-changing journey uncovers hidden truth in heartwarming love story. In the heart of Texas, where the prairies sprawled endlessly and the stars twinkled like scattered diamonds in the night sky, Pastor Jake Thompson was a beacon of hope for the small town of Willow Creek. With a heart as big as his cherished dusty hat, he poured his soul into the community. He was the support that cradled desperate hearts, a shoulder to cry on during tough times. But as dark clouds began to gather overhead, threatening to drown the very farm that shaped his identity, Jake felt an urgency stirring within him, a storm brewing not just in the skies, but in his very soul. The rains cascaded relentlessly. They transformed the fertile fields into a murky swamp, swallowing the legacy of his family farm into a raging abyss. Every raindrop echoed with the weight of his worries. Would he lose everything, even the essence of who he was? His hands, calloused yet gentle, worked day and night to salvage crops. However, whispers swirled around him like the winds, branding him a simple preacher unworthy of the respect he thought he had earned. Yet, as he organized volunteers to rescue what remained, his heart weighed heavily with thoughts of his estranged brother, Daniel. Memories of laughter turned to bitterness as Jake recalled how Daniel had chased dreams in the city, abandoning the responsibilities that fell solely on Jake's shoulders. With each passing day, resolve deepened. He couldn't just save the farm. He needed to mend the frayed relationship with Daniel. Their history was a tangled mess of disappointment and hurt that tested the very bonds of brotherhood. Jake had often sought comfort from the memories of their father, a man who seemed larger than life, who preached hard work and family legacy. But a shocking discovery turned everything upside down. An old diary surfaced, revealing unsettling family secrets that shattered Jake's perception of loyalty and love. Could the proud legacy he cherished be built on lies? The realization gripped him tightly, sending shivers down his spine, like the cold touch of rain on his skin. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With their town in turmoil, each brother battled inner demons, holding grudges that morphed into a fierce tension. Jake's heart raced as he prepared to confront Daniel, to open the floodgates of emotion and address everything that had remained unsaid for too long. Just then, the floodwaters rose again, mirroring the tempest in their hearts. As they stood face to face, histories and hurt collided. Tears blurred Jake's vision as he saw pain reflected in Daniel's eyes. Could they push past years of bitterness to grasp the hope of forgiveness? As thunder rumbled ominously above, the future of their family of love, understanding, and brotherhood hung in the balance. Would the rising waters wash away their legacy, or would the brothers finally find common ground amidst the chaos? One thing was certain: the storm both outside and within them was far from over. The rain continued to cascade, relentless and unyielding. Jake felt the heaviness in his chest, a painful reminder of all the years missed and words left unspoken. His gaze locked onto Daniel's. They stood, shadows of their childhood selves, each grappling with the memories of a brotherhood now surprisingly frail. "Jake, Daniel began, his voice barely audible over the roar of the storm. Jake could see the conflict warring within him, the surge of regret battling against years of pride. "Please, just say it," Jake urged, heart pounding in his ears. "We've held on to this for too long." Daniel's brow furrowed, and for a moment, it felt as if the storm around them paused, giving them a sliver of hope. "I'm sorry, man. I left. I thought I was doing what was best for me, but I didn't think about how it would hurt you." Jake inhaled sharply. Those were words he had longed to hear. But alongside the relief came a swirl of anger and hurt. "You think it was easy for me, Daniel? You think I wanted to pick up the pieces alone?" The bitterness slipped out unfiltered, reflecting years of suppression. "I know," Daniel responded, dropping his gaze to the ground. "And I've regretted it every day. The city wasn't what I thought it would be. I wanted to come back. I just didn't know how." The rain seemed to shift from a battering downpour to a gentle patter, as if it sensed the moment unfolding between them. A tense silence enveloped them, broken only by the sounds of distant thunder and occasional creaks from their family farm, struggling to endure. "I found Dad's diary," Jake managed, his words heavy. "There were things in there about our family that, well, it shattered what I believed was true." Daniel's eyes widened, searching Jake's for clarity. "I thought our legacy was built on love, hard work, honesty. But it feels like I don't even know him anymore." "What do you mean?" Daniel asked, stepping closer, his stormy eyes glistening with empathy. Jake recounted the revelations in the diary, secrets that exposed the fractures in their family's foundation. He wasn't just a man of faith. There were lies, choices that hurt people, that bred resentment. Jake explained, his voice trembling with the weight of truth. "All this time, you were carrying that burden alone?" Daniel asked, a frown of concern etched on his face. "You shouldn't have had to shoulder that by yourself." "I didn't know how to share it," Jake admitted, finally letting down the shield that had kept them apart. "Every time I reached out, I felt more alone. Your absence was like a ghost in every room of this house." The air hung thick between them, each man treading carefully through a minefield of feelings. Hope flickered in the corners of their hearts. What if they could emerge from this storm stronger? Daniel placed a hand on Jake's shoulder, a gesture charged with vulnerability. "We can make it through this together, Jake. It's never too late for us, maybe not for Dad, but for us." The sincerity in Daniel's voice made Jake break. Tears streamed down his cheeks, mingling with the rain. "I wanted Dan, more than anything." Just then, a flash of lightning illuminated the sky, casting eerie shadows around them. In that flash, clarity struck Jake. They had to dig deep to understand the past, but also to reshape their future. Could forgiveness truly mend the rift that had kept them apart for so long? With the storm still threatening to break their home, it became evident that their journey toward reconciliation had only just begun. As they stood together, vulnerable yet determined, a crack formed in the deep, dark clouds above, hinting at the possibility of a brighter day ahead. Would they find the strength to face their family's truth and unleash the love that had been buried for too long? The air crackled with anticipation as Jake and Daniel stood beneath the dim glow of a distant street lamp. The storm had shown signs of relenting, but their hearts remained heavy, burdened by the weight of honesty and unspoken words. A stillness hung between them, punctuated only by the occasional clap of thunder, echoing the turmoil within. "Let us go inside," Jake finally said, his voice raw yet resolute. He turned toward the old farmhouse, the familiar creaks and groans of the wooden steps welcoming him back, even if only to confront the ghosts. Daniel followed, each step echoing a promise, a step toward healing. Once inside, the scent of aged wood and memories enveloped them. Jake stood by the fireplace, where the ashes of their family's past seemed to call out. "This place has the weight of our childhood," he remarked, feeling nostalgic. Daniel lingered near the worn sofa, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, but it's not just memories. It's also where things fell apart." His gaze drifted, lost in the remnants of laughter and arguments that once filled these walls. Jake turned, driven by a mix of hope and determination. "We're here now, though. We can change that. We can talk about what has been said and left unsaid." He took a deep breath, gathering his courage. "Let us read the diary together." With hesitant hands, he retrieved the diary from the shelf, its leather cover cracked, almost as if it held secrets yearning to be released. He handed it to Daniel, who opened it slowly, flipping through pages filled with their father's spidery handwriting. The rain drummed on the roof, urging them on, as if nature itself held its breath. "Start there," Jake suggested, pointing to a passage that detailed a time filled with joy but also betrayal. Daniel's brow furrowed as he read aloud. "Your mother was always supportive," he began but paused, confusion flickering in his eyes. Then it talks about how he questioned her choices, and there was a note about a woman he met in the city. Jake took a step closer, his heart racing. "That's the secret, hidden behind the love. That's what I meant when I said our legacy felt shattered." Daniel lowered the pages, the truth hitting him like a crashing wave. "So, all these years it was more complicated than we thought." "Exactly. Our dad was human. He made mistakes like anyone else. But why did he keep it from us? Why did he think we wouldn't understand?" Jake wrestled with the revelation, finding a pit of anger boiling beneath his surface. Well, maybe he wanted to protect us. Maybe he thought keeping these truths from us was a way of showing love. Daniel's voice trembled, revealing the vulnerability that had been absent for too long. Love shouldn't be built on lies. Jake choked out, swiping away a stray tear. Silence swallowed them again as they processed the tangled roots of their shared history. Dialogues from their childhood danced in their minds, a game of make-believe where they were heroes, where everything was pure and simple. Daniel looked up, realization dawning. But it makes us who we are. If we're going to forgive him, we have to face this together. We can't let his mistakes define the love we create now. Hope flickered in Jake's chest, sparking something he thought had died years ago. Then let us figure out how to carry his memory forward. We'll create our own story, one where love is true. With renewed energy, they embraced the task ahead. They would unravel the truth, not just about their father, but about themselves. And in doing so, they would kindle a connection that neither had anticipated. As they leaned over the diary, flipping pages and igniting memories, the storm outside calmed, giving way to a soft glow filtering through the window. But that light also cast shadows, hinting at deeper questions that loomed. Could they truly forgive the past and reshape their own legacy, or would it haunt them forever? As they gathered the courage to turn the next page, it became evident. Some truths were just the beginning of an even greater journey. Jake felt the weight of the diary pressing against his palms as they turned the pages together. Each excerpt from their father's life revealed layers of joy entwined with regret, like a mosaic of broken pieces waiting to be reassembled. The memories were bittersweet. They invoked laughter but also a twinge of pain. Daniel's fingers traced the ink, while his voice revealed another memory. Here, he talks about the day you were born, how scared he was. He thought he wouldn't make a good father. His eyes glistened. Maybe that fear drove him to hide things. Maybe, Jake replied, feeling the air thick with understanding. But fear should never be a reason to lie. It just creates more distance. The realization sat heavy on his chest. They continued flipping through the diary, navigating a maze of emotions. Page after page, they uncovered snippets about their parents' dreams, the hopes they had for their boys, interspersed with insecurities that had long been buried. With every word, Jake was reminded of how human their father had been, flawed but well-meaning. "Do you think he loved her?" Daniel suddenly asked, breaking the silence. The storm outside had settled, now replaced with the soft patter of rain against the window. Jake paused, absorbing the question. "The woman in the city? I don't know. It sounds like he struggled between wanting us to have a perfect life and his own desires. But even love can shatter." His voice trembled. "I never thought about it this way." Daniel nodded, a distant look in his eyes. "It makes me wonder if he thought we wouldn't love him if we knew the truth." There was an ache in his voice, one that mirrored Jake's own feelings of betrayal and pity. As they dug deeper, the weight of their father's unspoken words began to lessen. They found a section where he described his regrets about the conflicts that had ripped the family apart, the missed birthdays, the yelling matches, the moments when they needed their father the most. "He wanted us to forgive him," Jake breathed. "I can feel that. Forgiveness isn't easy, though," Daniel replied, swallowing hard. "It's scary to let go of pain and embrace the unknown." He looked at Jake, emotions raw on his face. "But what if forgiveness can break this cycle for us? What if we don't carry his mistakes forward?" Jake felt a spark of hope igniting within him. Maybe we can rewrite the narrative. Create our own version of love that's honest and open, no secrets. Just real. They both fell silent, considering what that might mean for them. Just as they were embracing this thought, they reached the end of the diary. The final entry caught their attention, dated just a few months before their father's passing. It spoke of longing, hope, and a desire to reconnect. "I realize now that my love has always been here. Maybe I was too blinded by fear to show it," the words read. Jake's heart raced. He was reaching out. What if we were never meant to carry the weight of his mistakes? What if we were meant to find our own love in the truth? Daniel leaned back, tears spilling over. "I want that. I want to believe we can." Their conversation lingered in the air, filled with unspoken possibilities. Both brothers knew they had begun a new journey, one that led toward healing. But the question remained, what happens now that they've uncovered the truth? As they sat in that dimly lit room, a sense of determination washed over them. Yet unanswered questions loomed, whispering of a deeper legacy to confront. Could they truly let go, or would the shadows of the past cling to them still? With their hearts open, they prepared to confront whatever lay ahead. The rain trickled steadily outside, a soft rhythm that matched the unease settling in the room. Jake and Daniel exchanged glances, each man carrying the weight of uncharted territory. The diary lay open between them, its pages now a map of their father's fragmented soul. What they had found was not just a collection of memories, but an invitation to rewrite the story of their family. "Do you think we should talk to Mom?" Jake asked hesitantly, the thought flaring in his mind like a warning light. The moment he mentioned their mother, he felt the air shift. Daniel frowned, threading his fingers through his hair, a nervous habit that Jake recognized all too well. About what? The diary? The other woman? She had her own pain, too. Jake leaned back against the worn chair, reflecting on the years that had passed, the memories that had faded into silence. She deserves to know we're trying to understand. Maybe it's time we all face the truth together. Daniel glanced at the rain-streaked window, where splashes mirrored the swirling emotions they were wrestling with. "I don't want to hurt her more. She has been through so much already." "Neither do I. But if we walk around this, we're only keeping the cycle alive. What if we're not just unearthing his past? What if we're healing ours?" Jake felt a rush of clarity, igniting a flicker of determination deep within. With a deep breath, Daniel nodded slowly. "Let us do it. Let us talk to her." The decision felt monumental, a step into the unknown that both excited and terrified him. Jake could feel the gravity of the moment coursing through him. It wasn't just about their father anymore. This was about them breaking free from the chains of silence. "We can be honest, Daniel. No more secrets." The brothers decided to meet their mother the following afternoon. That night, as they lay on their respective beds, sleep eluded Jake. He replayed every memory he had with her, the laughter, the warmth, the way she had made them feel like everything would be okay. He could picture her face, wrinkled with concern, but still holding a glint of hope. Morning light filtered into the room, casting soft shadows on their walls. Making breakfast felt surreal, each cereal box and carton of milk a reminder of their childhood. As they sat across from each other at the kitchen table, silence enveloped them. "I can't believe we're really doing this," Daniel murmured, breaking the tension like a fragile egg. "Yeah," Jake replied, chewing on his lip. "I keep wondering how she'll take it. What if she doesn't want to talk?" "We can't control how she feels," Daniel said, his voice steady despite the tremor of uncertainty. "But we can control how we're willing to be together, even if that's messy." By the time they left for their mother's house, both brothers felt the air thick with expectation. The drive felt longer than usual, the scenery outside slipping by in a blur. Each passing tree, each stretch of road seemed to carry the weight of their impending confrontation. As they pulled into the driveway, Jake looked at Daniel. "You ready?" "I guess we'll find out," Daniel whispered, swallowing nervously. Stepping out of the car, Jake noticed how the sun broke through the clouds, a surprising shimmer of light after the storm. They made their way to the front door, hearts racing. Jake knocked, and the sound echoed like a heartbeat in the stillness. When their mother opened the door, her expression changed from surprise to concern. "Boys, what's wrong?" Her worry tugged at Jake's heart. But this was their moment to step into honesty. "Mom, we found Dad's diary," he began. But as he spoke, Jake wondered if they were truly ready for the storm that lay ahead. Would the truth open doors to healing, or would it unleash a deluge of pain? And just like that, everything was about to change. Their mother's eyes widened, glistening with a mix of confusion and apprehension. "His diary?" she echoed, the words laced with disbelief. Jake felt the weight of the moment settle around them like a dense fog. It was as if time had paused, holding its breath, waiting for the next move. "Can we come in?" Daniel asked quietly, his voice almost a whisper. She stepped aside reluctantly, allowing them entry into what had once felt like a sanctuary, now transformed into a battleground of truths buried deep. The living room smelled of fresh coffee mixed with the comforting scent of cinnamon from last night's baking. But all the warmth felt distant now. Jake caught a fleeting glance of the family photos lining the walls, smiling faces frozen in happier times. He knew they had always seemed perfect, Yet the diary revealed the cracks. "Why do you have Dad's diary?" their mother asked, her tone tight, pain and curiosity woven together. She folded her arms, visibly trying to shield herself from the storm the boys had just walked into. "We didn't want to hide anymore," Jake said, choosing his words with care. "There's so much we need to understand. About him, about us." He took a breath, forcing himself to hold her gaze. There's talk of another woman. The silence thickened, heavy like the rain from the day before. Jake watched as his mother's face tightened, memories flickering behind her eyes. It was a deep, personal sorrow, the kind that had festered and grown silent through the years. "What else did you find?" she murmured, the fight in her voice wavering. It was the question they had both expected, and yet it clutched at Jake's heart. About how he struggled, Daniel jumped in, trying to ease the tension. How he felt trapped. "It's not just about her. It's about him being lost. We want to know the whole story." She sank into the couch, looking small and fragile, as if the weight of the world had just settled on her shoulders. "And you think reading his words will help?" Jake nodded. "We think maybe understanding can bring us together. We all have our wounds. Maybe it's time we face them." For a moment, silence hung heavily between them, questions unasked, tears uncried. The pain was palpable, yet Jake felt a flicker of hope. This was the beginning of something. He could feel it. Their mother's expression softened, revealing traces of vulnerability beneath the tough exterior. "Your father loved us, you know," she said, her voice breaking. "Even when it got hard, he tried." Daniel shifted in his seat, as if summoning courage from deep inside. "Mom, we're not blaming him. But we need to talk about this. To heal." Tears brimmed in her eyes, and for a moment, Jake thought he could see the cracks in her armor, raw, human, real. "I don't want to dig up the past. It hurt too much." "That's exactly why we have to try," Jake spoke softly, his voice trembling with conviction. "To let it out, instead of letting it bury us." A deep breath from their mother filled the silence, and a flicker of understanding sparked between them. The small space of the living room felt alive, electric with possibility. It was almost as if they stood on the threshold of something profound. "I can't promise it won't hurt," she finally whispered. "But I'm willing. If you are." It felt as if the storm inside them was calming, a tentative agreement bridging the gap of years. They were standing together now, three pieces of a fractured puzzle ready to face what lay ahead. Jake reached for Daniel's hand, squeezing it as they stood beside their mother. "We're ready. All of us." But just as a glimmer of hope began to settle, her next words sent a chill through the air. "There's something else you need to know, something I've kept hidden too." They looked at each other, the question hanging between them like a storm cloud threatening to burst. What could it be? And how would it change everything they thought they knew? In that moment, Jake felt his heart race once more as uncertainty loomed on the horizon, ready to unravel all they had just begun to uncover. The shadows in the room grew longer as their mother's words sunk into their hearts. Jake's grip on Daniel tightened involuntarily, the tension palpable. The air felt electric, charged with possibilities and unspoken fears. What hidden truth could be lurking in the depths of their family history? "Mom, what do you mean?" Jake asked, his voice trembling. "What do you have to tell us?" Daniel looked between his brother and their mother, his expression a mixture of confusion and concern. The world outside faded into a distant blur as they awaited an answer. Their mother pressed her lips together, a combination of fear and determination. She glanced at the family photos, then back at her boys, who were now asking her to pull on threads that had long been buried. "Your father, he wasn't just battling his own demons. There was more. He struggled with who he was, and he shared things with me that I never intended for you to know." Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach. "What does that mean?" She hesitated, weighing her words like a tightrope walker crossing a precarious line. There's a reason. He turned to the diary. He hoped it would be a place to confess, to make sense of his life, and to find solace. Daniel leaned closer, his eyes glimmering with fear. But what was he hiding? Their mother sighed deeply, letting the air escape in a rush, as if shedding layers of a heavy burden. "He struggled with his faith, his identity, his love for us, and for someone else. He never wanted you two to know the extent of his conflict. He thought it would ruin everything, but it was tearing him apart." The gravity of her words hung between them like a dark cloud, and Jake felt an ache in his heart. Did he love someone else? "Love is complicated," she replied softly, her own emotions heavy with sorrow. It wasn't he just love. He was searching for something, a connection. This other woman, she represented a part of him that he could never fully embrace. He felt so alone. Jake felt the room tilt beneath him. All the memories of their father, warm and loving, were now tangled with this shocking revelation. But didn't he love us? Didn't he fight for us? He did. That's what makes this so difficult. He loved you both fiercely. She paused, wiping away a tear that managed to escape her control. But he was very much a man in conflict. He wrote about his fears, dreams, and regrets. That's the other part of what I kept hidden. I didn't want you to hate him or to see him in a light that made it hard to love him. Daniel blurted out, "Did you love him still? Even after all this?" Their mother's face softened, and her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Of course. It wasn't easy, but love isn't about being perfect. It's about embracing all the messy parts too. Silence enveloped them once more. The weight of their father's hidden struggles settled on each of them, reshaping their understanding of him, of family, and of love itself. They were lost in their thoughts when Daniel finally broke the stillness, a question lingering in his gaze. What do we do now? Their mother took in a deep breath, her resolve hardening. We dig deeper. We face this together. The diary holds truths, and it's time to uncover them, no matter how painful. Jake's heart raced as he nodded in agreement. It felt overwhelming and daunting, yet he also sensed a shift. This was the beginning of understanding, one they desperately needed. Even if their journey wouldn't be easy, but the storm inside him wasn't settled yet. And what about her? The other woman? His mother's gaze hardened slightly. That's the part we'll need to figure out together. What she meant to him, and what this means for us. Just like that, a new tension replaced the old. Jake knew they were still on the cusp of something profound. As they prepared to confront the secrets held in their father's words, he felt the weight of their shared past, present, and uncertain future clashing together. The truth awaited them, tangled in ink and paper, and they had no idea how it would shape them. With a determined look, Jake stepped forward, ready to face this journey into the unknown. But a chilling thought struck him. Was the other woman still a part of the story? And if so, what did she want from them? Jake's heart pounded as he turned the heavy, leather-bound diary over in his hands. It felt almost alive, pulsing with the weight of untold stories and emotions. Daniel stood beside him, eyes wide, mirroring his brother's uncertainty. Their mother had left the room to gather herself, and for the briefest moment, silence hung thick. "This is it," Jake finally said, breaking the tension with a voice barely above a whisper. "This is where we find the answers." His fingers hesitated over the clasp, the leather slick under his touch. Was he ready to open the door to a world that could change everything he thought he knew about his father? "Should we?" Daniel's voice trembled slightly. "What if it's worse than we think?" Jake understood that fear. They'd already been thrust into a whirlwind of confusion. "It can't be worse than not knowing," he replied, trying to summon courage that felt elusive. "We deserve to know him, all of him." The clasp clicked as Jake opened the diary, making his heart race. The handwritten pages felt as if they were filled with echoes from the past. Each word, each line was a whisper of their father's soul. He flipped to the first entry, the ink still dark and vibrant as if their father had just written it. January 15th, "I feel like I'm living two lives." Jake swallowed hard. This wasn't just ink. It was raw vulnerability. He scanned the lines, the words spilling out a mix of love and fear. "They don't see the struggle inside me. I'm lost between faith and desire. She makes me feel alive." Daniel leaned closer, peering over Jake's shoulder. "Who is she?" Jake had no answer, and that uncertainty clung to him like a cold fog. Deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. He could feel the pull of the mystery, the magnetic push of wanting to understand. As they read together, the entries unfurled their father's thoughts, his memories of church, moments of warmth with them, and the ache of longing for something unattainable. Each passage deepened their emotional conflict. A man so devoted to his faith, yet so tortured by desire. What if this isn't just about him? Daniel said, his voice suddenly heavy with realization. What if it affects us too? Our choice is everything. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Would they follow in their father's footsteps, torn between what they believed and what they felt? Their identities felt threatened, shaken by this unexpected revelation. Just then, Their mother walked back in, her eyes red from crying. She had been making room for them, yet the weight of knowing what was revealed was visceral. "I'm here," she said softly, stepping closer. "What have you found?" Jake and Daniel exchanged glances, the unknown swirling between them. "There's someone in his past," Jake began, his voice shaky. "Someone he loved." Their mother's face paled slightly. "I hoped it wouldn't come to light so soon. The woman from before. I thought you could handle the truth slowly." Sweat trickled down Jake's back as he felt a surge of anger pointlessly well up. "How could you think this would be easy?" Daniel's hand on his shoulder urged him back to calm. "Wait, there's more. It's not just about her. Together, we need to understand what she meant to him and what it means for us." Their mother's voice was steady but brittle, revealing the heartbreak she had kept hidden all these years. In that moment, they all realized the path ahead was not just about uncovering a past, but also reconciling their present. Jake looked down at the pages, a war raging inside him. "There's more to find out. We can't stop here." Daniel nodded, his expression resolute. "No matter how hard it gets, we'll face it together." But as they prepared to dive deeper, a worry gnawed at Jake. What if this journey tore them apart instead? What if the truth would reveal more than just their father's secrets? The fear of the unknown loomed larger with the turn of each page, and with a final sigh, Jake bravely opened the diary again, ready to face whatever faced them next. Could this revelation reveal a bond they never expected, or would it shatter their family further? The question hung thick in the air as they plunged deeper into the heart of the storm. Jake turned the page, the anticipation curling tightly in his stomach. He felt Daniel's breath catch beside him as the words came into focus. "February 2nd, I can't stop thinking about her. Each moment I see her, I feel that spark. I shouldn't tea, but it's like a fire igniting something long buried within me." Jake's heart raced. What did his father mean by fire? The passion in the words was unmistakable. It made Jake itch with anxiety. Their father had spoken of love, of a connection so intense that it threatened to burn away everything he thought he was. Why would he write all this down? Daniel murmured, his brow furrowed. "To make sense of it, maybe?" Jake suggested. But was it really that simple? His mother shifted closer, her eyes scanning the words as if they might unveil secrets she had kept locked away for years. He felt trapped, she whispered, and in her voice was a mixture of sadness and understanding. "He loved me as much as a man could love another woman." That admission hit them like a freight train. The weight was suffocating, pulling at the edges of their family ties. How could they reconcile a father they barely knew with this confession? Jake's fingers trembled as he turned the page again. March 10th confession is a bitter pill. "I can't bear the thought of losing my family, but how do I keep denying this part of me? I found myself wishing for moments with her, times I could laugh freely, without the burdens of judgment." The room felt colder. Jake locked eyes with Daniel. The quiet exchange sparked a storm of unspoken questions. Was their father's desire a flaw, or a reflection of the human heart's chaotic nature? They had been raised to uphold certain morals and to view conviction as strength. And yet, here lay evidence that the heart often differs in its struggle. "Mom," Jake said finally, his voice unsteady, "did you ever talk about this with him?" Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "I tried. I thought we could handle it together. But he was too afraid of the repercussions, too tied to his faith." Feeling suddenly small and powerless, Jake dug deeper into the pages. "April 17th, I went to see her today. Just to talk. Her name is Mary, and she understands, but I fear I am losing myself the more I'm drawn to her, the more I can feel myself drifting from my life. But how can I deny something that feels so right?" Jake's chest tightened. The fear of losing a life had gripped their father, yet he had chosen passion over safety. What if that was a path Jake and Daniel had to face as well? It was a terrifying thought that shattered everything they understood about love and loyalty. "What if this is our destiny too?" Daniel said softly, his voice wavering. "What if we end up like him? Then we fight it," Jake said, his conviction growing. "Maybe confronting it is the key to finding ourselves. We can't be afraid." Silence settled heavily on them like a blanket. There was a gravity to their discovery, a realization that their father's struggles echoed through their own lives. "May 5th, I need to choose," their father had written. "Between the life I've built, what is expected of me, and this wild, uncontrollable love that sings to my soul, I fear I'll regret the choice I make." Jake's finger traced the words, and an idea stuck in his mind like a thorn. We have to know more. We have to find Mary. His mother looked up sharply, disbelief painted across her features. You can't just chase after her. Why not? Jake interjected. She is part of this story. If we want to understand Dad, we have to understand his love. Daniel nodded. The resolution in his eyes mirrored Jake's own. What if Mary had answers? What if she held the missing pieces to their family puzzle? Jake felt the thrill of the unknown pulsing through him. This was the moment they stepped into the light of truth, leaving behind the shadows of doubt. But as the thought settled, doubt crept in again. What if they opened doors that couldn't be closed? What if Mary wasn't who they imagined? With a glance at his mother, commitment written on his face, Jake took a deep breath. The journey was about to get much more complicated, and he was terrified of what lay ahead. Would they find healing, or would the journey expose cracks they couldn't fix? The question loomed large as they all faced the turning point together, leaving Jake to wonder what awaited them with every step forward. As dawn broke over Willow Creek, the golden rays filtered through the remnants of last night's storm, illuminating the old farmhouse with a new warmth. Inside, Jake and Daniel sat at the kitchen table, their mother's usual bustling energy now replaced with a serene stillness. Today was the day they would all confront the past together. Are we ready? Jake asked, glancing at his brother and then at their mother. The weight of the conversation to come pressed heavily on their hearts, but a spark of hope flickered through the uncertainty. Their mother looked up, determination blooming in her eyes. Ready or not, we need to face this. It's time to speak the truth, all of it. They set off for Mary's place just as the sun began to climb higher, washing the world in vibrant colors. Each mile felt like a trek into the unknown, but Jake felt something change inside him. The fear that once consumed him was now replaced with an urge for understanding, for connection. They were finally taking control of their narrative. As they arrived outside the quaint cottage, Jake's heart raced. What if she doesn't want to talk? He whispered, the weight of anxiety clawing at him again. Daniel squeezed his shoulder. We just have to be open. No more holding back. Jake knocked on the weathered door, the sound echoing like a drumbeat in his chest. Moments passed like hours, and just as doubt started to creep in, the door creaked open. Mary stood there, a soft smile gracing her face, a warmth that seemed to radiate from the heart. Boys, she greeted, a hint of recognition brightening her eyes. Can we talk? Jake asked, his voice steady. Mary nodded, stepping aside to let them in. The small living room was filled with sunlight, yet every corner seemed coated with memories, some joyful, others laced with sorrow. Jake took a deep breath, his mind swirling as they settled onto the worn couch. I know why you're here, Mary said, her gaze piercing through the room's silence. Your father left something behind, something complicated. Jake's heart pounded. Can you tell us about him? About what he felt for you? Tears glistened in her eyes as she slowly recounted the story of a man grappling with the weight of obligations against the reality of longing. With each word, she unveiled the layers of their father, a blend of passion and conflict, love and regret. He loved you deeply, Mary said, her voice quivering, but he felt trapped. I represented a freedom he craved but feared more than anything. He was torn between love for his family and his hunger for a life that felt unexplored. Daniel leaned forward, feeling the weight of his father's choices settle into his bones. Did he ever regret it? Was it worth the cost? Mary's expression softened. He wrote about you both frequently. He was proud of you, but he feared he failed you. In his heart, he always believed he couldn't choose both worlds without tearing them apart. Jake's spirit soared and plummeted all at once. Here they were, holding the pieces of a broken man, a man who fought battles both internal and external, seeking solace in the chaos of love. What do we do with this? Jake breathed, emotions swirling within him. Make your own choices, Mary urged gently. Don't carry his burdens. Learn from his mistakes, and let love guide you forward. The emotional gravity of her words wrapped around Jake and Daniel, binding them together in understanding and unity. They didn't have to walk this path alone. They could write their own chapter, a new legacy free of secrets, built on honesty and love. As they left Mary's cottage, the sun bathed them in a warm embrace. They stood on the porch, the world stretching before them like an open road. It wasn't the end of their journey, but a beautiful beginning, a chance to rewrite their own stories. "Mom's waiting," Daniel said, glancing toward the horizon. Jake nodded, feeling lighter somehow. Together, as they drove home, the shadows of yesterday started to dissipate. They talked about memories unshared, dreams unfulfilled, and hopes reignited. They were not just brothers, they were companions embarking on a shared adventure, ready to face the challenges ahead. When they arrived home, their mother looked up expectantly, warmth flooding her expression. "How did it go?" "We found answers," Jake began, his heart full. "And we're ready to face everything together." As they gathered around the kitchen table, hands intertwined, tears glistened in their eyes. They spoke openly, sharing secrets and fears, transforming grief into warmth and connection. The walls that once divided them began to crumble. "This is the beginning of our story, not the end," Daniel said, and his words held the strength of a promise. They were going to rewrite their legacy, free from their father's fears and emboldened by love. As they moved forward together, they held sacred the heart of communication, healing, and acceptance, forging a brighter future fueled by compassion. And beneath the Texas sky, they felt the promise of every sunset, the hope that no storm could erase the essence of true love, family, and togetherness. Now, as you reflect on Jake and Daniel's journey, remember the transformative power of facing the truth. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this inspiration. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts are vital. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.